That's the first dimension. Okay, I'm going to try to make this as simple as I possibly can so people can just get it. This is really simple. That right there is the first dimension. This is the second dimension. This right here is the second dimension. So we have first dimension, we have second dimension. First dimension, again, 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 we have the second dimension. People believe we exist in the third dimension. This is three-dimensional. You have the second dimension, the second dimension, the second dimension. You have a number of second-dimensional aspects piling into each other to create something three-dimensional. So do we live in the first dimension? Yes. Do we live in the second dimension? Actually, no. The second dimension lives within us. Does the first dimension lives within us? Do we live in the third dimension? Well, it appears that way, right? But what does this talk about the fourth dimension? Is the fourth dimension time? No. Time is relative. However, we do have this thing called emotions. And emotions exist, yet we cannot contain them into a box. I can be happy, and I can be in this box. I can be happy here and joyful. I'm pretty joyful right here, and I'm in a box. I'm in a box that you're looking at. And if you want to, I can go, I love you, and we love each other. And with that, we love each other. Me in this little box right here can be you out there in whatever box you're in inside of love. So, could it be that love is the fourth dimension? Well, love is an aspect of the fourth dimension, just as this box is an aspect of the third dimension, just as this body is an aspect of the third dimension, just as that pen replicated the first dimension, second dimension, and if you looked at it closely enough, the third dimension. These are aspects of dimensions. So, being the physical body and the three-dimensional, now back to the basics, a dimension from the 1 to the 2 to the 3. Basically, you know what it is. That's gone too far already into explaining that. Fourth dimension. Okay, that's something that we exist in? Yes. Do we exist in does the fourth dimension exist within us? No. Not individually. Not like the second dimension, which in human relative experience is the thought. Thought is linear. The thought travels in a line. It's electrical impulse in your brain. That electrical impulse in your brain builds up again and again and again and again, and it leads to some sort of cellular manifestation of an action in the third dimensional world that your body carries out. And then we build all of these other replications of some 3D things in the third dimension. These all can be individual to whoever wants to individually say they own it. But once you get to the fourth dimension, I cannot individually say I own joy. It's my joy. And somebody might understand it's my joy, but is it? Because what if I want to be joy? Could you really stop me no matter how hard you tried? You could put me in a cage and prod me with a cattle prod and zap me and do water torture, and maybe I wouldn't be joy, but I would probably be suffering and hurt and hate, so I would still be an emotion. If I don't want you to have this box, I'll bury it in the ground somewhere where you don't know, and you'll never have my damn box. But if I don't want you to have my joy, or if I want you to have my joy, it's not up to me. It's up to joy. We live within the fourth dimension. And what we are doing is ascending our consciousness into the fourth dimension to become more harmoniously active in creating stability in the fourth dimension so that higher dimensions can be founded in greater sort of here is the pen, in greater sort of structure with the first dimension. So all these dots are not so randomly placed around your world, my world, but they connect the dots together in a funny little thing that starts making structures, and these structures start looking more beautiful, like love. Love is really beautiful. So then we got all these people talking about 5D, and I'm 5D. You're not 5D. Who's you? Do you even, what are you talking about? Do you even understand this simple aspect of what a dimension is? And I'm sorry I gotta be a little bit like, duh, here, that it's gone on for years, and people are still like, yeah, I'm 17D. And, no, you are 3D. Okay? You are 2D. And if you could conceive it, you are 1D. If you want to experience 5D, you won't be you anymore. You'll have to let go of Mr. You. Okay? Just like I can't stop you from experiencing 4D, the fourth dimension, by having some sort of emotion that's interconnected in a larger frame of reality and connects all these individual three-dimensional dots. Because if you're looking at this from like way outside the box, then all of a sudden you see these boxes, and what connects them? Emotion, purpose, faith. So they're getting connected in these things, okay? These things that are like energetic boxes that we can't perceive with these tools that were meant to help guide us through our individual lives in 3D. Okay? You getting me? You following me? Okay, let's move on. So, fourth dimension, easily said, is the emotional realm of reality that is not yours, that is not mine, that is ours if we choose to wish to be open to experiencing that aspect of reality. We can begin to share experience with one another and manifest greater abundance of fourth dimensional reality on planet Earth. That's great. Okay. Get it, got it, good. The fifth dimension is something totally different. Because even though emotions are going to be living through my family, and the pain and the suffering, and the love and the joy, and the greed and the this and the that have traveled along through these bloodlines and genetics and webs of energy that you don't understand because I barely understand, and who understands it? We're learning it now. Okay, we got this far with the fourth dimension. The fifth dimension, we travel into a space of love and faith. I'm not even going to tell you the other way. We travel into a space of love and faith. And all of a sudden we are here and everything is perfect. Everything is loved. I have faith in that I, connected with the love, brings together a whole universe that suddenly does not need to be mine, does not need the I. It exists, whether or not I, the three-dimensional being that has been put here to express interest into connecting higher dimensions together more stable eyes, more stably. Well, I decide to do that. So then I must practice on my mind, my second dimensional self. I must practice on my body, my third dimensional self. I must do yoga. I must meditate. And I must learn how to manifest positive emotions and share them with communities. Because this fifth dimensional thing that we live within. Okay? Nobody's 5D. I don't care how many um, Jackie Chan Tai Chi practices you learn, the you will never be 5D. I will never be 5D. Say this body, that is Da Chi, dies, and actually condensed inside of this third dimensional structure was an intelligent system that wrapped around entire galaxies, uh, levels of consciousness able to perceive time at such an amount that it could be considered 47D. Okay? And that's what a dimension becomes, the relative understanding of time. If you're a dot, time just doesn't even exist, and it does exist. It's always and it's never. The dot's just there. Nothing's happening with it. Everything's happening with it. If you're a line, well, there's only two ways time can go, and it goes pretty quick. Okay, it's just happening. There and back, there and back, there and back. Well, all of a sudden, you become a box, and it takes a couple seconds to figure out what's happening. You get punched. Oh, that takes seconds to figure it out. When you go to love somebody, how long are you working through these energies before you are willing to admit, I love that person? I love so and so. And all of a sudden, you enter a fourth dimensional reality with Mr. or Mrs. So and so because you share that love. And that love is an entity, an energy of the fourth dimension that you can potentially exist in if you choose to. Just like you aren't uh, jailed into the third dimension. It's not like you have to be here. You can die. The body can burn and throw it off of a bridge. Not recommending that. Spirit exists, okay? Spirit is what we're trying to understand. So if the relative experience of a fourth dimension of consciousness is, say, about 14 minutes, and that's the birth and death of an emotion. A single cell, maybe, in the right circumstances, can live a few days, and that, how many experiences would you decide you had in your life? Am I talking a bunch of gibberish yet? Good. I hope you got it, because I'm not done. The fifth dimension is what everybody's talking about, because that's what we need to understand to heal humanity and to preserve the planet Earth. The fifth dimension is this collective human consciousness from the cultural point of view. And that's where we've gone wrong. We believe my culture is different from your culture. Black is different from white. Chinese is different from Japanese. And the Incans were different from the Spanish because the Romans were different than the Chinese, and all this stuff. And these things cause conflicts and separations. And then these big, the gods of the old day, as they called them, which were just people who all of a sudden like tapped into energies of movement from the consciousness of a fifth dimension existence, and so that became a god. Because why? It was clearly not a person, wasn't in a body, yet it was able to be conceived, and it existed outside of all of these people's lives, and it took various people to do all of these actions and have emotional ceremonies in order to conjure up enough energy to be able to create the possibility to even get a snippet of that experience. So the next time you want to say like, hey, I'm 5D and I'm going to work to be 5D, just forget about it, because that one thought is going to be what's going to keep you from ever experiencing the fifth dimension. And that is when your complete understanding of interconnectedness to everything that you have ever experienced culminates itself, and you become one with all of your experience. That's the fifth dimension. You become one with all of your experience. And you know what that is? That's Megatron's cube. Megatron's cube is when you become one with all of your experience. So then you got like baby shit happening, you got like stuff in the future, you got you now, you got all these relationships, you got feelings, you got thoughts, you got all of this stuff, and they're all existing in some energetic matrix. That's Megatron's cube. If you want to go study Megatron's cube and look at it on some sort of picture, and maybe you'll have a dream that will give you a snippet of some sort of fifth dimensional consciousness, good luck. Now we breathe in and raise our hands. Let's go to the sixth dimension, baby, because that is the absolute harmonic existence of all of human reality in understanding of each other, with each other, forever. Yes, forever. Actually, that is the point in which humans no longer need to exist. They have fully experienced the human experience. They have created a fabric of energy stable enough for the base consciousness, which is now our root chakra. Who knows? It's been billions of years. This planet has been doing shit with little cells and stuff to try to get to humans who are just now understanding, I'm a third dimensional thing, majigger. And I think I could be 17D flying around space. You idiot. I love you. And I'm sorry, it's late. What did I say? It's like 2:30 in the morning. I haven't slept in days. I got deported from Peru. How do you get deported from Peru? I mean, that's ridiculous. Who deports an American from Peru? I was supporting your economy. I loved you people. Look at this. This is like fourth dimensional craziness right here. I got all this love and now I'm all this sadness. Like the country I love deports me. That's the problem we're facing right now because the fourth dimension is just screwed. So let's kind of tighten those screws back together, all right? Do the work. That's how I'm going to end this. Do the work. I know it was fast. Probably going to delete it. So if you get to watch this video, feel very special. Because I'm going to delete this video in like 2 days. Why? Because that's what I want to do. And I have choices just like you. And so I'm going to choose to delete this video entirely. And give those who had the chance and had been following me rather periodically and consistently the ability to take advantage of watching this once, twice, maybe even 3 times before it disappears from active existence. But it always will be there because the 5th, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th dimension are still there, always were there, never weren't there, aren't going away, are just waiting to be filled up with your consciousness and my consciousness, and are just waiting for us to forget that you are you and I am me, and that we are separate, and that as long as we are separate, they will remain empty voids of nothingness, experiencing nothing in the infinite potential of God. So, if you would like to join in our love right now, let's take 30 seconds to go from happy, another breath of joy, and now our experience is blessed with the reality of love. Our experience is blessed with the reality of love. And I was almost meditating. I mean, levitating. I mean, ending the damn video. Ciao.